and it's ready to meet the challenges of growing traffic volumes and climate change that we face today, maximising the positive impact of all rail transportation. That's our goal at the International Rail Quality Board, or IRQB for short. We're working to push rail to the forefront of our daily mobility by advocating for a global culture of quality throughout the whole sector. Labelled by 3 quality performance levels: bronze, silver and gold. IRQB brings together leading companies in rail operations, system integration and equipment manufacturing from all around the world. Our members are committed to enhancing the attractiveness and competitiveness of the sector. To achieve that, we focus on improved product quality and advanced cooperation between all stakeholders. That's why IRQB supports, develops and implements the IRIS certification scheme, a globally recognized system for the evaluation of rail sector companies. It focuses on the quality performance of rail companies, which benefits both the supply chain and the individual rail businesses. IRQB is certain better quality means higher business performance through enhanced customer satisfaction. It means advanced competitiveness, attractiveness, efficiency and resilience of the rail sector. And it means improved daily mobility for all of us.
Well, good morning.
Rail is...
Good afternoon. Good evening from wherever you are in the world. It's our pleasure today to introduce to you our newly developed website that has been created for the IRIS 15 facts and figures. So it's my pleasure today to give you an insight on all the information we have done in our deep dive analysis, to give you an insight on the rail industry by using IRIS certification data over the last 15 years with clear and interactive graphical elements. So it's my job today to explain to you what we have done, how you can use our new website to your advantage, and how you can see the information and understand the information. We're going to focus on 4 areas, 4 different sections. Firstly, the IRIS certified companies. We're going to look into how many certificates we have, where the IRIS certified companies belong to, and so on. After that, we're going to move into a bit more detailed information. We're going to go into the scoring. We will now see those IRIS certified companies and now then look into the scoring, the respective scorings. Where are the weaknesses? Where are the strengths? Where are the scorings throughout the various IRIS chapters? After that, we're going to get into a next level of detailed information. We will look then into the corrective actions, short for CARS. And in the corrective actions, we will see where in the industry the respective issues are and where over the years the issues have been resolved and where the new issues have been erased. Last but not least, we will look into the certification bodies and then look into details about the auditors. So without further ado, please let me share my screen and introduce you the IRQB website. So of course, as you already know, this is the IRQB website, and where you can find this newly created sub-website is on the top-hand side banner towards the right-hand side, and you see this in green, and it's named IRIS 15 Facts and Figures. So once you click the IRIS 15 Facts and Figures website, you go to an additional page, a new window, a new tab, which then explains to you basically in the home page what I introduced to you earlier, explaining what we have done here with the various sections of the website. As I told you earlier, we will first look into the IRIS certified companies, then we show you data about the audit scoring, followed by corrective actions, and last but not least, auditors and information about the certification bodies. So as I already explained, my goal today is to briefly go through these 4 different areas and explain the different illustrations and graphical elements that we have created with the last 15 years of information that has been generated from the thousands and thousands of audits over the last 15 years. So what you do on the right-hand side, there is a hamburger menu where you can click menu and then select the various different sub-chapters. So of course, the home is what you just see now, followed by the welcome and forward, where you see our general manager, Mr. Bernard Kaufmann, has introduced the topic, giving you a further scope of where we have started and where we have ended, and at this milestone so far throughout the 15 years. So now let's talk about the data. As I said to you earlier, the main focus is to provide the data in a clear and precise manner, so you, audience, can understand where the industry is at the quality standpoint in the rail industry. So let's go into the first section, the IRIS certified companies. So now I would like to introduce the first point. It's very important to note that this whole website is fully interactive. So we allow you to play and interactivate the various diagrams and graphical elements to your liking. So quite a lot of the things are clickable, slidable, zoomable, and it's also my job today to explain you that. So once we go through, you will then have a full understanding on the whole interactability of this website. So as promised, let's first go into the IRIS certified companies. And the first diagram you see, and I can zoom it in a bit for you, is the evolution of IRIS certificates and IRIS portal active members that we've had since 2006 till date. So as you see in dark blue, you see the certified companies. And what you can also do, as I said, it's fully interactive. So you can hover over the line and you can always see at any data point the exact number of certificates or active companies we have. So what's quite interesting to see is that you can disable or re-enable various criteria. So if you would like to only see the certified companies, you can just click certified companies and you will see only that. However, if you would like to see both of them or one or the other, you can really click and play with the various criteria. So as you can see here, one important thing to note is that the differential between the certified companies and the active IRIS portal members are the potential for future certificates. So as you see here, status end of May, you see the potential of the companies that have already gone through the approval process of the IRIS portal. They have been approved based on the respective eligibilities that we have, and now they are waiting to become IRIS certified. If you scroll down, then you will see the respective evolution of these certified companies, so the certified companies that we have here in blue, but distinguished between the three different activities that an IRIS company can be, an IRIS certified company can be eligible for. So as you know already, they are design and development, maintenance, and manufacturing related activities. So only companies that have scopes in any of those three activities would then be most likely eligible to become an IRIS certified company. So let's see what we have here. So as you see here, we have something called scroll, and I've already shown you this. You can click the arrows to go through the various diagrams. What's interesting about this diagram, let's use the design and development example, is that you have now, and now I would like to introduce you the fact that we have more or less throughout the whole website, three major categories. Let's call them milestones or points throughout the last 15 years. So we have the year 2012, then we have 2017, followed by 2021. So what's interesting here is you see the 20 process scopes for the IRIS certified companies. These are the types of areas in which a company can be certified for. And you see now here in this diagram how many companies we have over the respective years compared to the respective 20 product scopes. So as you see here, if we deselect the year 2017 and 2021 and just look at 2012, we will then see, and for example, one can deduct that there were most companies in design and development for single railway components. And in design and development related companies, we saw the least amount of companies in lighting. Of course, as I said earlier, if you hover above the diagram, you will see a pop-up showing you the exact number. Then what's interesting is that you can re-enable the respective years and then see the evolution in the respective activity for the company across the respective 20 product scopes over the respective years. So you see here in blue, you see the 2012 respective information, and in teal, you see the respective information of 2017. So then you can see, for example, one can deduct that for single railway components, product scope 19, you see that there has been a vast increase in companies for design and development from 2012 to 2017. One can also see the same type of information, but as I said, across different activities. So let's take maintenance and manufacturing, for example. As you can see, the first thing you see when you go onto the graph are all years enabled, and one can see that then you can see that there's been a steady growth, for example, in guidance related certificates from 2012 all the way to 2021. So really, in short, this respective graphical element is designed for you to see the various certified company evolution from 2012 to 2021 over the three respective IRIS activities, i.e. design and development related companies, manufacturing and maintenance, of course, over the respective 20 product scopes. Last but not least, when we're looking at the IRIS certificates as a whole, we made for you a very nice graphical element which gives you basically an overview of the world with the respective certificates. So what you can do, of course, you can zoom in and zoom out with these buttons, but you can also use your keyboard by clicking the control and scroll on your mouse to really move and see the respective information. So for example, I can zoom in now all the way to Europe. As I said, everything's interactive, so you can hover over the respective country and see the latest information. Likewise, you can also go into Asia or other parts of the world, say Africa, and see the respective information there as well. So last but not least, on the IRIS certificates section, which is the first major section of this mini website, you can see an overview of the continent versus the certified companies and the number of countries we have with at least one certificate around the globe. Now, without further ado, let's go into more detail. So now we've just looked at the IRIS certified companies, but now let's go look at more detail. Let's go into those certified companies, and now let's see the audit scoring. This is very important to see because here now you'll be able to see the evolution over the years and how the scoring has evolved of the respective industry in terms of the IRIS certification certificates. So here you see that, as you know, it has the scoring alongside other elements have, of course, an impact of what quality performance level statement the company then is awarded with. So let's now go into the audit score evolution. Here on the left-hand side, what you see is the score evolution per country. Again, just like I previously explained in the previous section, all of the criteria, as you see here, the categories, can always be enabled, disabled with a click of a mouse, or if you're on a tablet, a click on the screen. So we're really apprised about the fact that we made this fully interactive, so you can play with the information. So, for example, let me show you first without any of the criterias or categories. Let's say you see here first the evolution of the respective IRIS audit score from 2007 all the way until this year. So you see the whole view over the 15 years. As you can see, in 2007, in the early years, you see that the scoring was at a level of around 72, 73%. Then you see it decreased. Again, you can have an overview of the exact number when you hover your mouse over the points, and you see then it decreases. And then, of course, from 2016, you see a steady plateau and increase of around 68 to 69% of an average audit score across all countries in the world where we have at least one certificate in. Then what's very interesting is that we basically selected 6 additional countries where you can have a baseline and check where their level is compared to the average audit score. So let's pick, for example, Germany. Here it's very interesting because you can see and then that in the beginning of the first certificates, when they were first awarded, you see that they were more or less in line with the average. But then from basically 2008 to 2012, they also had a decrease in the level. As you know, we increased what we had in terms of the requirements in the standards, so it was getting more complicated. But however, they decreased at a slower pace compared to the average. And now, of course, what's interesting is that in Germany now you see that the scoring in Germany is way above the average audit scoring worldwide. And then, of course, logically, you can add all the respective countries that we have here and have a complete and full view of the respective standpoints. Of course, one could ask a question and say, why does Spain here or Russia in this example start in 2010? Well, that basically means that there were no audits there beforehand. On the left-hand side, I just showed you the audit scoring in general. When we move to the right, you will now see the evolution in terms of the scorings, but baselined with the quality performance level. As you know, there's no gold yet. Why? Because we have just launched gold on the 1st of September. So I hope you saw our marketing promotions on that. But however, we have the data now, as of now, for bronze and silver. And what you see here in the line format is the average audit score you see on the left-hand side. And now we compare it to the bronze level and silver level. And what you can see is that the silver level awarded companies have a far greater average audit score compared to the bronze. And we will see this as well updated with the gold level audits. And I will zoom out a bit for the next explanation. Here it's very interesting because what we have done here is made, let's say, what we call a donut diagram. And we made a donut diagram to show you the average audit score for each chapter and each sub-chapter across all countries and all types of audits that we've had over the 15 years. So what we've done is we have 4 categories. We have the global category. Again, as I said to you earlier, we have the 3 years. So we have 2012, 2017, and 2021 for you to see the respective evolutions in the chapters. So let's take For example, 2021, I will zoom in. What we have done and made for you is basically a interactive donut where you can hover over the chapters, as you can see. And in the middle, you will see an automatic update of the respective average audit scoring for that chapter. So you can see, for example, Chapter 4, context of the organization from the IRIS assessment sheet. You see that you have in 2021 till date a 69% average audit scoring. If you want to go deeper, you can also, I will zoom out, but you can also go into the sub-chapters and see, for example, subchapter 4.4, quality management system and its processes. And you will see here, for example, in this case, that the average audit scoring for that subchapter 4.4 is 73%. What's interesting and how you can use this data is you can also compare it to the previous years. For example, in 2017, you will see now for chapter 4, it being 75%, and Chapter 4.4, 59%. So one thing you can deduct, for example, is that in 2017, the average audit score for subchapter 4.4, QMS and its processes, was 59% globally in the industry. And now in 2021, you see it being 73%. So as you see, there is a severe increase in the industry in that perspective. So please don't be shy, and please use this diagram to see the respective chapters and sub-chapters and how the scorings have evolved over the time. We have also gone into some further details of the performance level, performance evaluation scoring, where we see based on the different levels. Again, right now we only have bronze and published silver respective certified companies. Gold ones are to come as we just started. But what you can see here, and I will zoom out again so you can see this quite clearly, is that there is a severe difference in the performance of the company between the silver and the bronze certified companies in terms of the 5 mandatory processes, right? From requirements for the products and services, production and service provision, PM, design and developments for products and services, and then of course, last but not least, the 5th mandatory process, the control of the EPPPS. So that's very important to note. In the second last section of the data that we have created for you is, as I said, the corrective actions. This is very interesting for you because you can see where in the industry as a whole the issues are over the years, over the types of companies, over the types of audits, and of course to see the evolutions of that, where the improvements were made, where new issues were raised, and so on and so forth. So in the first diagram, you see the corrective actions per audit, per activity. So we're using the same logic as per the first section. Again, you have the 3 categories, i.e. 2012, 2017, and 2021. And you see the evolution depending on the activity, on the average cars per audit, per activity. So one can deduct over the different years with the respective activity how the evolutions of the cars have been done. Here in the second diagram, you see the corrective actions per chapter. In my opinion, this is very interesting because you can see the evolution from 2012 to 2021 versus the respective chapter. So what you can deduct that, for example, in 2012, the biggest issue in the industry was basically in the chapter called support. This is chapter 7. And what you can see then in 2017, it stayed support, but then in 2021, and actually in between 2017 towards 2021, it shifted. And now what's interesting is that the most of the corrective actions are in the chapter 8 called operations. So please don't hesitate to play around to see the information here. Lastly, before we go into the usual worldwide map, we see the corrective actions per audit type. And you see here more or less the same thing. You see the different chapters, but now you see the differentiation between the year and the audit type. So the first one is 2012, same logic, 2012, 2017, and 2021. And you see the differentiation between the certification audits, the surveillance audits, the both of them, and the recertification. So one thing one can deduct, for example, in this diagram, is that in 2012, there were more in the support in chapter 7, there were more corrective actions raised in the certification audits, less in the surveillance audits, and even less in the recertification audits. But what's very interesting, for example, as I said before, in 2021, you see that most of the corrective actions are now in the operation chapter 8, as I specified to you earlier, but most of the cars are raised in the surveillance audits, as you can see. And then the second most cars are raised in the certification audits, followed by the recertification audits. So really, this is a way you can interpret the data and a way you can play around with the data. Of course, I skipped 2017, but you can really see the transition between the various years. Last but not least, I will zoom out a bit. You will see the overview of the corrective actions per country, and you can of course zoom in and out with your keyboard or the button, and you can see all the countries that have at least minimum one corrective action per audit. Last but not least, we'll go into the auditors and certification body section, where you can see the evolution of the IRIS approved auditors. As you know, we started with very few auditors, and we slowly increase. And as you can see, when you hover over the respective points, you see the exact numbers, if you cannot deduct them from the left-hand side here. And you see we more or less have plateaued now at around 300 auditors. After that, we show you the 17 certification bodies we have, and we show you when they started working with us, and which means when they started and signed the framework agreement, and when they started to conduct IRIS audits. From the 300 auditors we have now, we show you where their competence lies in. And here you can see the vast majority have many of these various process scopes. However, most of them have the components, followed by the mechanical, followed by electronical functions, and last but not least have the interfaces process scope. And just to explain very quickly behind that is that if an auditor has the respective process scope, if they have been qualified for that scope, and there's quite a few criteria and eligible things they have to abide by, and if they are then allowed to do the respective audits for companies wishing to be certified in those related scopes. Last but not least, same logic like we've had for each section. At the end, we have a lovely country diagram for you, where we show you where all the auditors are laying and where they are and where they lay. And of course, on the bottom left-hand side, you see the continent, and then you see where we have most of the auditors. So without further ado, I would like to conclude our very quick introduction on this. And please, if you have any further questions and comments, concerns, don't hesitate to contact any of us. And I would like to end this quick presentation by inviting you kindly to the IOQB website. And right before the IRIS 15, there is the thing called IOQB Bulletin, where you can then find the latest and greatest new and key information on the IOQB. So if you want to find this type of information and be first to get this type of information, please, without further ado, sign up and sign in for our IOQB Bulletin, thus enabling you to get the information as quick as possible. Thank you very much. That is all. I wish you all well and hope to see you soon.